Welcome back to the show. Really cool piece right now on NHL.com where Amalie Benjamin writes about a program called Hockey in Harlem that gives kids a chance to not only play the game, but to also improve their education as well. Amalie joins us now from TD Garden. Amalie, this piece was actually really interesting to read. I read it this morning. What would you say was the most interesting thing you discovered while working on this?
I think it was just interesting that there's this ice skating rink in Central Park in Harlem that a lot of these minority kids especially had sort of seen, maybe heard of, had seen people walking by with hockey sticks and hockey bags, but hadn't really understood that this was something that they could have access to. And really opening up these kids and their families to have access to the hockey programs, the academic programs, so sort of the entire package of ice hockey in Harlem has been really interesting. It's a 32-year-old program, started in 1987, but still kids are just learning about it, that it's there, that it's open to them.
Yeah, it has been a terrific program. I've been familiar with it for many years now. I've been at some of the fundraisers they've done over time, and so many kids have benefited from it. I want to ask you about the educational aspect of it, because the hockey thing is great, but I mean, the fact that the focus on education for these kids, I think, is terrific. What did you learn about that end of it?
Yeah, I got to go to hockey class, which was pretty fun. They have sort of a three-pronged component for the youngest kids. There's this hockey knowledge series that takes them through everything from, what a rink looks like and what the blue line means and the red line means and the crease to through to this month they're doing Black History Month, so there's a focus on Willie O'Ree in the class that I attended. They get maps with where the teams are located to bring some geography in. They do statistics for some math component, and then the older kids have speaker series and then college exposure. So there really is sort of parallel lines of hockey, but also this education component, which really gets these kids to sort of open up to aspects of education in ways that maybe are more fun than they're getting in their traditional classrooms.
Amalie, Weeksy here. Thanks so much for joining us here and also being really in tune with what's taking place there. It's a great program, fantastic program. Had the opportunity to be a part of it for the last 20+ years, and had the chance to see the kids probably 2 weeks ago at the Rangers home game as well. But what are the one key takeaway that you have from spending time with the group and this great initiative that we have with Ice Hockey in Harlem?
Yeah, I think talking to one of its maybe its biggest graduates or its most successful graduates, Malik Garvin, was fascinating to me. I mean, he said this program changed the trajectory of my life, and that is something that he doesn't take lightly, that the program doesn't take lightly, that I didn't take lightly. That you can see a kid who I don't necessarily think he thinks he was heading down the wrong path, but who can find sort of a way to open himself up to the world that he might not have anticipated when he came into this program as a 4-year-old. He's one of the youngest ever to participate. But for a kid to be able to see the world in a different way, to see different people, to be exposed to different things that he might not have seen from his home in Harlem or in that area, I think is something that cannot be taken lightly. To open those new worlds is a magical thing.
It really is, and as someone that grew up playing hockey, and you guys can attest to this as well. I mean, it's not a cheap sport to play. It's expensive. So the fact that door is open for these kids if they want it is really incredible. And you talk about this program changing that gentleman's life. Part of that is that you get to meet some of these people. I understand Willie O'Ree has been there to meet some of these kids. Wayne Gretzky at one point, I believe in the late 80s, visited. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. Wayne Gretzky was there in 1988, and that was sort of, I think, the first time that this program got the exposure that it needed, whether it was on SportsCenter, in the New York Times. Places really started to say, okay, here's a program, and give it the publicity that it needed. But yeah, Willie O'Ree is a big supporter. He's come to their graduation. He's spoken at their classes. Yeah, I mean, they are getting people in there who make an impression. And it was actually fascinating to me to be in the class and to have the instructor ask if these kids knew who Wayne Gretzky was. And one shook his head, and he sort of shook his head no, and the instructor understood that, okay, we still have a lot of work to do here, but we're trying.
Well, it is called Hockey in Harlem. You can read more about it on NHL.com. It's a fantastic piece. Thank you for this, Amalie. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys.